Puzo to score. Captain, my captain, and she does it again. Great read by Marino. Charlotte North with a high heat. She strikes. Shot, she scores! Spectacular! Score! Goldmiller behind the back.
Their passion for this wonderful sport of lacrosse, and they get to do it with their best friends. I mean, what's better than that?
Welcome, everyone, to the Week 4 draft of Athletes Unlimited Pro Lacrosse. I'm Maria Travelpiece alongside Athletes Unlimited sideline reporter Kylie Ohlmiller. Kylie, it is the final week of Athletes Unlimited Pro Lacrosse. The leaderboard is very close, so what can we expect in the final games?
Yeah, this leaderboard is very close, like you said. And these are the 4 captains we saw this past weekend as well. The games were competitive. These 4 really know how to compete. They're Team USA players all along the board. So I'm excited to see if they make any changes in this draft or if they try to keep their teams exactly the same as best they can.
So let's meet these 4 captains once again. As you said, all 4 from last week, but in just a little bit different of an order. The same, though, is Sam Puzo. She's going to be leading the gold team once again. Charlotte North will lead Team Orange, Taylor Marino leading Team Blue, and the captain of Team Purple is Allie Kennedy. So we have some picks to get through. They were very quick last week, so we'll get started quickly here. Whenever we are ready, we'll have that first pick. And until we are ready, Kylie, you were there for last week's games. What are some things that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I think it was a weird weekend. We had a couple of weather delays and things like that. But again, I think it was just the competitive fire from this group.
Sorry. Attacker Izzy Skane.
So Izzy Skane goes number 1. 3 out of the 4 weeks, she has been the first pick in the draft. Kylie, why is she always in that number 1 slot after Taylor picks?
Midfielder Katie O'Donnell.
I'll have you talk about both of those picks, Kylie, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I like that pick for Taylor. Katie O'Donnell has been absolutely solid all season long. And Izzy Skane, I mean, she's Izzy Skane. Why not pick her first overall?
Attacker Kenzie Kent.
So Kenzie Kent goes number 3. So we have Izzy Skane. Then we also have Kenzie Kent. Talk a little bit about Kenzie.
Yeah, Kenzie and Charlotte playing together. Again, a BC duo there on the left side and the right side. So I like that matchup.
Midfielder Dempsey Arsenal.
Are you surprised by this pick at all, Kylie?
I'm not. The only time she surprised us is when she didn't pick Dempsey first overall.
So she grabbed her again this week.
Midfielder Ali Mastriani.
Ali Mastriani is somebody that we were talking about before this call, Kylie. She had an outstanding week. You got to chat a little bit with her after one of the games. Can you talk about what you saw from Ali this week?
Yeah, she's starting to get hot on a lot of her shots, and she's been taking the ball hard to the cage all season long, but now they're starting to fall. So if there's any time you want those shots to start to fall, it's towards the end. It's towards championship weekend. And that back-to-back pick right there from Sam Puzo, I think is kind of getting our captains a little bit stumped right now, where they want to, maybe a Charlotte North would want to pick an Ali Mastriani there or another, stud midfielder that could take over the midfield and lead in that area. It's where we see Ali Mastriani, Dempsey Arsenal, Katie O'Donnell. That's why they're off the board first like that, so they can run that midfield.
Midfielder Marie McCool.
So there's another midfielder pick talking about running the midfield. Marie McCool, somebody who was actually a captain one of our weeks here in Athletes Unlimited.
Yes, for the first time. And, Charlotte and Marie, they have a really good just kind of like banter and relationship. So I think they'll be a good vibe for that Team Orange.
Midfielder Cassidy Weeks.
Cassidy Weeks was another one. One thing that we'll talk about, and we have been talking about this entire season, is the rookie. She had a really great showing last week as well. What makes her a good fit for Taylor's team?
Yeah, again, she's just stepped onto the scene as a rookie and proven week after week that she can be sturdy. on both the offensive and defensive sides, and she can put away a couple big goals when you need her to. So I think, when it comes to playing in this heat, playing 3 games in 4 days in a weekend, you want to make sure you can rely on your midfielders in big ways.
Midfielder, Ellie Macera.
So we see the trend of the midfielders going in this round as well, Kylie, and that's something that we'll look at a little bit. We always see how captains are going to pick. So what do you like from this pick from Allie?
I like this pick. This is, the Allie Kennedy and Ellie Macera that we saw in weeks 1 and 2 for Team Merino, working together in the midfield. And they both just bring so much speed. So for them to kind of be working together again in this final weekend of AU Pro Lacrosse this season, I'm just excited to see them kind of buzzing up and down the field. They both do it so well. So I think they complement each other's games very well.
It's always good to have somebody who compliments you well. And you mentioned it already once, the word vibes. How do the vibes of Allie Kennedy's team help, especially with her and Ellie working together? And we'll see who she picks to add to that vibe right now.
Attacker, Libby Rosenswag.
Everybody always struggles with Libby's last name, but Allie did a good job of getting it right. And it's certainly somebody that you'd like to have on your team. She's leading AU right now in draw controls.
She is, and she's doing a fantastic job at the draw. And Allie was laughing because they're good friends and just cannot figure out how to say her last name. And even Mo Gaitan, her facilitator, was trying to whisper it to her there. But Allie's giving us some good content here on this draft. But yeah, I think who has been fantastic this season so far is Livy Rosenzweig. She not only gets draws, but she does a great job at when she grabs the possession of the draws. She can run away from a lot of different pressure. So anytime that a player, plays with a draw stick like Livy does, that means that she plays with a different stick for the draw. And then when she grabs it, she'll go switch it with somebody else for her actual playing stick. She does a good job at handling that pressure when she grabs that ball.
I love the whispers.
Attacker, Isabella Peterson.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is. She was keeping us on our toes there. Little whispers, little secrets.
The mute, the unmute, the mute again. I was like, oh, okay, like on the edge of my seat. We love the suspense during the draft at Athletes Unlimited, but we do have Isabella Peterson. So Kylie, let's talk about her a little bit.
Yeah, she's been a fantastic performer the last couple of weeks, really strong on that left side.
Midfielder, Amy Moreau.
Amy Moreau gets picked. We had another mute and unmute. Maybe we should start keeping tallies of that as well. How many times can you mute and unmute? Amy Moreau is somebody that we've talked about a lot, Kylie, just about her grittiness, the way that she plays. What did she bring in week 3 that kind of helped her be selected by Charlotte in week 4?
Yeah, she's been drafted pretty high the last 2 weekends in a row, and she deserves it. She's really showcasing that she can play on both ends of the field as a midfielder. Her one-on-one matchups on defense, she's got really, really strong, fast footwork, and she can match up against whoever they kind of put her against. And then on offense, she's one to put the ball in the back of the net when you need her to, too.
Attacker, Sam Geyersbach.
Sammy Geyer's back, talking about somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. She's another player that can certainly do that. We've seen her get drafted higher every week as well. So what do you like from Sammy, and how does she complement Sam's team?
Yeah, I think Sam and Sam playing together. So a righty attacker, a lefty attacker. They grew up literally on the same street, playing for the same high school program. So they've played together for a really long time. I think we're going to see that connection a lot this upcoming weekend. And to add to it, I mean, you have Dempsey and Ali Mastriani too, who Sam has played with Dempsey at BC and for years and years and years. And then with Ali, Team USA. So a lot of chemistry on this team so far.
Attacker, Erin Kuykendall.
So Erin Kuykendall, how does she fit into the chemistry of that team, talking along the veins of vibes and chemistry and working together?
Yeah, that's a scary team so far. Honestly, it's a scary offense so far. When you think about like a draft like this and you think about how a team puts together an offense, those are a lot of offensive players. Yes, there's 2 midfielders up there on that board for Team Apuzo, but that's a lot of offense right there. So when you think about the teams that have to go up against them this weekend, what their defensive strategy is going to look like against an offense that has so many powerhouses on it, I think it's going to be an interesting defensive strategy kind of situation this weekend.
Defender Sydney Scales.
And just like that, we're talking about defenders now. We just talked about the offense. So when Sydney Scales and the other defensive players on her team, and we'll talk a little bit about them after Taylor picks.
Defender Emily Knowles.
Emily Knowles. So now the defenders are getting taken off the board. How do you think those 2 defenders, obviously picked on separate teams, can start to think about stopping that potent offense of Team Apuzo that you've already talked about?
Yeah, Sydney Scales and Emily Knowles, both coming off of their collegiate seasons right into AU Pro Lacrosse and immediately making an impact. I mean, Emily Knowles is within the top 10 right now, and is really working to do so. She's not only a lockdown defender, but she's on the draw circle a lot. She'll grab draw controls for you and push transition as well.
Attacker Maggie Hall.
Maggie Hall, another one who had a big performance this weekend. As you were watching her play in week 3, what really stood out?
Yeah, she goes hard to the cage. She really doesn't let down. Whatever kind of pressure comes from the defensive side, she really goes hard, and she's going to try to get her points on the board in order to make sure her team is winning. And when I take a peek at this here, all 4 teams have their main go-to lefty attacker right now. Doesn't mean they can't add more, and they probably will, but I think that's a piece to think about when you're playing in this league. There's only so many lefty attackers. There's a lot of right-handed attackers. So you want to make sure that you balance that field by grabbing someone like, Kenzie Kent for Team North, Isabella Peterson for Team Marino, Maggie Hall for Team Kennedy, and then you have Sam Geiersbach for Team Apuzo.
Yeah, well, so the chat's starting to get a little talkative. We'll go to the chat as soon as Allie picks.
Defender Katie Detweiler.
So there's another defender taken off the board. How can she stop some of those lefty attackers that you just discussed?
Yeah, Katie Detweiler, I know I say it every weekend, every week, every draft, but she's the defender out there. If you had to pick one you don't want to play against. She's really good at getting in your hands. She's really good at disrupting any sort of dodge that you're trying to make. And she's just got fantastic footwork. So to be able to take her off the board early and make sure that you have that solid, not only like one-on-one defender, but you also have a solid team defender in Katie Detweiler, that's a big pick for Team Kennedy.
All right, so let's go to the chat, Kylie. We have a couple people saying hello. Some people are excited about Team North. I'll ask everyone else, who are you most excited for? Which team are you most excited for right now? We're starting to see them form a little bit. And so far, who have been some of your favorite picks individually that you'll be rooting for? So we'll see what the chat has to say. As I said, there's a go Team North, there's a go Amy in there. So that was before we even asked the chat any questions. So we'll wait and see what they say. Kylie, so far, as you're looking at these teams, I know you already talked about Team Apuzo's offense. What else really stands out that you think, oh, this is going to be something that's either hard to stop or this is going to cause problems for opponents?
Yeah, I like Team Kennedy's midfield. I mean, you look at herself, Allie Kennedy, Ellie Macera. You've got Livy Rosenzweig who plays attack, but she's at that draw center. So you'll see those 3 like on the draw circle a lot, which I think will cause a lot of possession for them this weekend.
Attacker Sydney Black.
Sydney Black, she had a game-winning overtime goal earlier today. So, she's a rookie as well. And I feel like every time I go on Athletes Unlimited X, Instagram, you're always seeing big plays from her. How do you think she's kind of leveled up to the competition of pro lacrosse so quickly?
Yeah, she's brought another level to pro lacrosse. A lot of these rookies have, and I think we're going to continue to see that. That's what's awesome about lacrosse. And, I see it in highlights at the college level too every year. I'm like, how are these girls doing this at 18 years old? And then I watch some of these players that, I worked with the USA U16 select team last week, and I was like, how are these 15-year-olds doing this? So it's just crazy how talented and confident a lot of these players are at younger and younger ages. And it's a testament to what a lot of these players out here are doing. They're not only playing and inspiring the next generation, but they're also coaching them. And they're trying to, instill that confidence in them as well. So I think Sydney Black comes in with a lot of that confidence, and she brings it to each and every team that she's on. And she's really humble when she plays too, which I think is another fantastic trait of a player that needs to shine in big moments.
And when you're talking about all these young women who are just showing out and having that confidence, what do you think that says about the growth of the game? I know we've talked about that before, but especially with, LA 28 coming up and everybody's really excited about that. How much more excited do you get knowing that all of these young players are developing like this and having this confidence to show up on the field in this way?
Yeah, it's incredible. Watching the Olympics this summer is just like hitting close to home, right? Because we know that the next time that the Summer Olympics come around, this sport will be in it. And for the first time ever, women's lacrosse will be in it. Men's lacrosse was in it years and years and years ago, but women's lacrosse has never been able to take part. So just exciting to see that that's like something that could be in the future for some of these current players, but also for some of the players that we see in the younger ages.
Midfielder Grace Griffin.
So there's a midfielder. We had a couple defenders taken. Now we have another midfielder. Kylie, thoughts on Grace Griffin?
Grace has been really solid all summer long. She's one of those players that you can depend on in the midfield. She's a lefty midfielder, so that adds another layer of just kind of a difference on both the offensive end and the defensive end. When you see so many right-handed players out there, you kind of get used to the same looks at dodges or the same hand that they're trying to dodge to, things like that. So Grace Griffin adding another direction that you could go to on the offense, I think is big. And then similar in her matchups on defense too. She matches up stick to stick on a lot of those righties.
Defender Lizzie Colson.
Lizzie Colson, that's somebody that you get excited to talk about every week. Kylie, thoughts on Sam's pick? And now, we talked about her team's offense. How does Lizzie Colson help the defense?
Yeah, Lizzie is a defender that you want on your side. You really do. And she's really talkative. She can communicate through anything that's going wrong or right on the defensive side to, make things better moving into the next play. But she's also all over the field. She's going to get 50-50 ground balls. She's going to kind of make your team better in those ways. And she also can be a menace on the draw circle. So, I think she's one of those picks that really complements this team of Puzo very well.
So we're close to having half the board filled out. So I would love to see who we actually have left to pick, especially as some of these teams are getting more filled out. Kylie, I'll let you go first. What stands out to you the most based on who's left?
We still have a lot of defenders on the board. I think that's something that I think we'll probably see a trend at now. I think each captain has got their maybe definitely one, maybe two of their top defenders that they want to kind of, be out there leading their defense, start the trend for their defense. So I think in the next couple rounds, we'll start to see some of these fantastic defenders fill out that side of the ball. And then, I'm always excited to see where Sammy Jo Tracy lands. She's playing so well this season. And she can really be just kind of like a firecracker from behind the cage, which I think is a thing that you really need when it comes to an offense, is one of those X players that can kind of see the ball from another angle when you're behind the cage. It's almost like quarterbacking the offense. I think she's done a nice job of that. And then, I think I'm always curious to see when the goalies start to go. There's only one of them up in this captain's group. So, the other three really have to make sure that they pick where they want their goalies to be so that they can have the goalie that they want.
That's always the big question of the week, is when is the first goalie going to get selected? Katie Glynn was just off the leaderboard from those top 4 spots, and we'll see who Sam goes with. I don't think it's going to be a goalie this soon yet, though.
Defender Abby Bosco.
Talked about those defenders getting picked off the board. The defensive player of the year last year, Abby Bosco, heading to Team Puzo.
Yeah, Sam is, I'm not surprised by this because she's done it literally every week for however many weeks, but she's drafting really well right now. And she's got a really solid team alongside her right now. And I think she's finally in that number 1 spot, right? And she wants to hold on to it. So I think it's really you can see she's locked in, but that's a big pick to add to that defensive side of the ball. Again, we talked about the midfielders on her team, but like Dempsey Arsenal, Ali Mastriani, Lizzie Colson, Abby Bosco on defense so far. It's kind of scary.
No, even as she started picking, she picks Dempsey and then she continues to go through, and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is starting to look really, really, as you said, scary.
Yeah.
Attacker Andy Aldave.
Andy Aldave, she's somebody who has mentioned in the chat that people are very excited to see play this week. Some of their favorite players are Andy Aldave. So, Kylie, for you, how does she complement what Charlotte's team is bringing to the table?
Yeah, she's a great player on ball, right? When she has the ball in her stick, she also sees the field very, very well. But what complements that is that Andy Aldave is a fantastic player off ball. And having a feeder like Kenzie Kent, the three of them will work well together.
Midfielder Megan Kinna.
Megan Kinna, another person who's having a very good season so far. So, Taylor's obviously not going to pick goalie. She's going to come in with Megan Kinna. What do you like about this pick?
Yeah, Taylor picking. She's got 3 of her 4 midfielders right now with that pick. And yeah, Meg Kinna, she can fire from 2, so watch out for it.
Midfielder Hannah Dorney.
Before we talk about Hannah Dorney, I
Oh
feel
my
like
goodness.
we need a special highlight reel clipped. Maybe the Athletes Unlimited social team can do this of all of Allie Kennedy's
Just Allie,
reactions.
yeah.
Yes. All of her draft picks.
Here she goes again.
Defender Kendall Halpern.
So you can talk about her last 2 picks, and then maybe we can analyze and break down her facial expressions, her whispers, the muting and the
She's
unmuting.
having fun with it. You
love it.
have to. I think it's a very stressful time when you're in this captain's chair and you're trying to pick, and you want to make sure that you're grabbing the team that you want positionally, vibes wise, players that you've played with before. You're also trying to put yourself in the best position as well as your teammates. But sometimes people just aren't available anymore. So it's a stressful time. So I'm glad that Allie is having fun with it this week.
Defender Caroline Wakefield.
Ooh, Caroline Wakefield. I get excited every time she's picked just because of her toughness. I know we talk about it every single week, just the way that she's so gritty on the field. And I kind of want to go back to the vibes thing. I feel like she brings a little bit different of a vibe, just like this, I'm going to give you everything I have kind of attitude. And I mean, Kylie, you've played with her and against her, so I'll let you weigh in more on that. But as an outsider looking in, that's what I see from Caroline Wakefield.
Yeah, she's definitely a tough, gritty defender. She'll see a lot of those number 1 matchups on the other side. And she just is fantastic at communicating. She really is. And she's going to bring the fun, but she's also going to make sure that you talk through situations.
Defender Megan Ball.
So we assume that some of the defenders were going to start getting taken off the board. So Megan Ball headed to Team North.
Megan Ball has been really great so far this summer as well. Another one of those strong, big, fast defenders that can make a takeaway check. She's also had a few really great interceptions that have been fun to watch, and she can run the ball up the field well. So that's a great addition to, a Sydney Scales on Team North's defense. So I'm excited to see who else she fills that up with.
Absolutely. And we'll head to the chat. We saw so far who's been taken. I'm going to ask, who has been your favorite player that has been picked so far? And who do you think is going to go undefeated this week? We'll see if we have an undefeated team. Those are some of my questions for the chat. We'll see what everybody has to say. And while they answer those questions, Kylie, we talk about having fun in this, but also the stress of this draft, right? How much more pressure does that final week bring with it, whether you're a captain or not?
Yeah, I think, you try not to think about it. And I would say that almost everybody here probably isn't thinking about it until the last day, when you kind of really noticed, okay, maybe like for the last couple of years, we've seen where Taylor Moreno and Sam Apuzzo have been going into that last game of the season neck and neck, and then that's where you realize, okay, like each moment matters. So yeah, I'm excited to see if this weekend brings another Sunday like that, where we're kind of following the leaderboard all the way through to find out who's going to be on top. It'll be exciting to see if we can get a new champion. out of one of these four, or even someone to pop right through on one of their teams who's just teetering around that top 10 mark right now. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I think that's what makes it so exciting. I don't think there's extra pressure until the very, very end, though.
No, that would make sense. I feel like if you want to be successful, especially in the Athletes Unlimited format, you need to not really think about all of those things until, like you're saying, the final day.
Mm-hmm.
Attacker, Casey Choma.
Casey Choma taken by Sam Apuzzo's team. So again, how does she add? You know, you already talked a little bit about the offense and then what the defenders will bring as well. What does she add now to the already scary team that we've talked so much about?
Yeah, she adds a lot. She's, again, another player that kind of like really, really found her footing this past weekend. Really stepped onto the scene, had a couple nice multi-goal games. And she is slippery off ball. She's great on ball as well. She can dodge, but in an offense like this, I think she's going to add some assisted goals for them.
Defender, Meg Dowdy.
Meg Dowdy's another one that I feel like we smile about every time she's picked. So Sam has the 2 back-to-back picks. Talk a little bit about when you are a captain, how crucial do those become, especially when you have to quick turn around, make a pick, and then think about what you're going to do next?
Yeah, when you're thinking about it, so like for instance, right now, Allie Kennedy is going to be the next one that has that double pick in this snake draft. So right around now is when she's starting to think, okay, what are the 2 positions that I want? If this goes perfectly before these next 2 picks go up, who would I grab right now and who would my backups be? So that's usually how it kind of goes, just speaking from my own experience and what people have told me that they kind of go with. But you want to make sure that you kind of have a game plan in your head. And the way that Sam Apuzzo is picking, it seems like her game plan has been going to plan so far for her. You know, she's ready to go. She's got kind of like the people that she wants, and she's got the positions that she wants ready to go on those back-to-back picks. But I think that's definitely a little bit of planning and thinking ahead of time.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. When we watch the way that everybody's looking down at their notes or talking to their facilitators, Sam just seems to have everything in line. And as you're saying, maybe the picks that she wanted are still left on the board. And we talk about the smiles and the giggles as well. It looks right now that everybody is just in locked in mode. So how do you kind of balance the locked in, but also smiling a little bit to take some of that pressure off?
Yeah, you have to balance it. Otherwise you take it too seriously. You know, so even in weeks past, I've told Taylor, I'm like, you look so serious on the draft. You need to smile a little bit. But she's like, I thought I was. I think I'm having fun. I'm just like also pretty locked in. So I think that's just their focus faces.
Defender, Katrina Geiger.
Defender Katrina Geiger headed to Team North. So that was Charlotte's focus face, I feel like, when she came on the screen and then unmuted, but she still makes a good pick in Katrina Geiger.
She does. Katrina brings a lot of veteran experience to the defensive end. She's, again, another really great 1v1 matchup defender. There's so many of them in this league, but she made some great hustle plays this past weekend. I watched her run out a few balls on the end line after some shots to gain the ball back and get a cause turnover for herself and for her team. So just playing really, really well right now and brings a lot of veteran experience to a young defense so far for Team North in Sydney Scales and Megan Ball.
So more players taken off the board, especially more of those defenders that we mentioned earlier. So if we take a look at who's left on the board, now there's less defenders, obviously, way less attackers. Kylie, who stands out maybe that you're surprised is left on the board?
Yeah, I think, you know, another thing to note here as Taylor gets ready to pick, you know, she's got 3 of her middies, but only 2 defense and 2 attackers. So I'm interested to see if she picks one of those positions right now to kind of fill out.
Defender, Maddie Burns.
And there it is, the defender, Maddie Burns. She was popular in the chat about 2 weeks ago. People wanted her to get picked higher. So What are your thoughts on Maddie Burns?
Must have been some Michigan fans. Where are they tonight? Are you guys in there?
I don't know. We'll see if they pop up. There were a lot of Michigan fans a couple weeks ago, I remember. So
I love it. Yeah, she's been playing great. And a lot of times what we're seeing, especially as we're getting into, week 3 and coming on to week 4, is teams are playing offensive and defensive midfielders. So they're running subs out of the box. So she's been playing that really well.
Defender Kayla Wood.
So now we're seeing more of those defenders getting taken off the board, Kayla Wood being one of them.
Yeah, Kayla Wood brings, again, a lot of veteran experience to the defense. She's been playing in AU Pro Lacrosse since the first year in 2021. And she's always been known for her ability to be on the draw circle, pick up ground balls, and then push transition as well. And I think she's really stepped into that as of this past weekend. She's really started to allow that part of her game to flourish. So I think adding that in this week will be really good for Allie Kennedy's transition.
Goalkeeper Britt Reed.
There we have a goalkeeper taken off of the board. Britt Reed is headed to Team Kennedy.
Yeah, and we saw this last week from Team Kennedy, picking Britt Reed as her goalie. And those two have such a great relationship off the field as well. So to bring that onto the field, that's just part of the chemistry of making these picks too. You see it in like a Sam Apuzzo and Dempsey Arsenal, always trying to have each other on the same team. I think that Allie Kennedy feels that way. If she can't have Taylor Moreno, she wants Britt Reed because they're all such good friends off the field. And also Britt's a fantastic goalie, right? So, that you can have that trust on that end of the field. She's also a great leader. So to be able to bounce ideas off of each other while the games are going on or in between games from Thursday to Sunday, that's a massive asset to have.
No, when you talk about Britt Reed being a great leader, I think that was one thing that I noticed, especially last year, just in conversations with her, just the way that she thinks about the game and sees the game. And so I'll ask you, as somebody who's played with a lot of these people, how much, I don't want to say pressure it takes off, but how much pressure does it take off of you when you know that you have somebody who can kind of help you lead and help you, especially on the other end of the field?
Yeah, it's huge because, wearing the captain sleeve in itself is a lot of pressure. You're technically making all of the decisions out there on the field for the team, even though, you have help from your facilitator and you have help from your teammates. But the more, leaders and people that you can have in specific positions to oversee a specific part of the field. So a Britt Reed overseeing a little bit more of the defensive end and being that leader and kind of just being appointed that way by the captain is really, really helpful.
Attacker Sammy Jo Tracy.
There's Sammy Jo Tracy, Kylie, for you. She's headed to Team Marino.
Headed to Team Marino, that Tar Heel connection right there. So yeah, I love this addition. Sammy Jo, she's really playing great. She's able to finish in her fancy ways, but also in some really great ways that aren't so fancy too. And I think she does a lot of the right things, and she's looking great out there. I think she's hitting a lot of the right feeds as well. And you need a feeder out there in order to make sure that you're hitting cuts. So, Sammy Jo, and then you have Sydney Black, you have Isabella Peterson. That's an interesting matchup there, or a partnership, I guess I should say, because Isabella Peterson and Sammy Jo Tracy have been playing together for the last 3 weeks in a row. So that lefty, that righty, they've really started to build some chemistry over the last couple of weeks. And we've seen some passes zipping around from them to get some highlight reel goals. And I think it's looked really pretty. So to bring that chemistry onto the offensive end, that's a smart pick for Taylor Moreno.
And how important does that chemistry become, especially as you said, that last day when everybody's vying for those points, when you have somebody who's played together, as you said, for so many weeks in a row?
Yeah, it's everything, especially now there's week 1 jitters. They're out of the way. All the dropped passes are the things that the speed of the game that you haven't necessarily played at since last summer, when you were back at AU Pro Lacrosse. So, or in your college games, if you're a rookie, but just getting week 1 out of the way. Week 2, you start to feel, okay, I think I could work with her well, but we're still not quite there yet because we've only had a couple games under our belt. Week 3, you really start to see it. And I think we saw a lot of great chemistry plays this past weekend. So week 4 is when it all just kind of gets put together. So I think this draft is the most important in terms of saying, okay, these two really work well together now.
Goalie Katie Glenn.
Katie Glenn was the first goalie taken off the board last week. This week, she's the second goalie. How does she complement Charlotte's team in the net?
Yeah, Katie Glenn has been really, really great this entire season, ever since 2021, the first season of AU Pro Lacrosse. She's just sturdy back there. She is a great voice, but she's also one of those goalies that can stop a point blank shot, like that you don't think she's going to save. She can make an athletic save, but she can also stop those 2-pointers or those deeper out shots as well. If she's seeing the ball, she's going to see the ball the entire game. So I think it's really important to have a locked in goalie that you can depend on that end.
And she's just out of that top 4 spot on the leaderboard. So she has the potential to move as well, very close, especially with these 4 captains. And we saw Sam do it as well, just jump all of those spots to move back into a captain spot. So anything can happen, any week of Athletes Unlimited, but especially here in the 4th week.
Yeah, and that just goes to show too, right? Like when we go through this draft, it's not necessarily what number you get drafted at that equates to how well you're doing this season or how great of a player you are. I think that's like a common misconception just because the draft goes in order. But it's really just more so about how do I fill out the positions on my team at the time that I need to so that the other captains don't do it. And now that we saw, Taylor Moreno's there, Team Kennedy's got Britt Reed. Somebody's got to grab Katie Glenn. And I think Sam Apuzzo is taking a long time right now because I know she wanted to take her.
I know it's a little bit of a mind game as well, right? So it's also knowing like how much I'll ask you because you probably have more experience with this than I do, but how much do you play those mind games knowing, hey, Captain X really likes player Y. I'm going to take player Y because this is going to maybe get in their head a little bit, especially as you're vying for those final 4 spots heading into the final week.
Yeah, it's part of it. You hate to like say it because you're like, oh, that's kind of mean, but it's part of it. Sometimes you just have to take the players that they're comfortable with because it's going to get into their comfort level and mess them up for their game plan.
Goalie Madison Doucette.
There we go, another goalie. So Sam takes Madison Doucette.
I like this. We haven't seen Madison Doucette yet. We saw her for maybe 1 or 2 minutes because she's played a little bit of backup to Britt Reed, Katie Glenn. She's played backup to basically everybody so far. And Sam Apuzzo taking her first, as a goalie for the first time on her team for this week shows me not necessarily that she's got the starting spot, but that she wants her to play. And that I think throws an interesting twist to, all of these games, right? This is a goalkeeper that none of these teams have shot against yet. That's a really big thing. And Madison Doucette is a fantastic goalie.
One more time. Midfielder Cassidy Spillis.
So she takes the goalie. Now she has the midfielder and Spillis. So as you said, it's starting to get interesting here, Kylie, because people that we maybe haven't seen play quite as much are maybe going to get some more time in some of the biggest games, if not the biggest games of the season, especially when you're talking about win points and picking them up to climb the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And Cassidy Spillis too. Like she's been playing really, really great. She's transitioning the ball up the field well as a midfielder for every team that she's played on so far this season. And she can get a quick goal too when you need her to. So that's again just like one of those teams for Team Apuzzo that I'm excited to watch.
Attacker Madison Ahern.
Madison Ahern going to Team North. Kylie, what do you like about this one?
Madison Ahern, I like this one because she has really showcased as, again, a newcomer, as a rookie, that she can play with all of these pros, and she deserves to be here, as does everybody, because she has such incredible vision. She can really handle a tough pass, and she can dodge. So she's kind of got that triple threat as an offensive player, and I think she's sneaky. So for her to kind of like, I think the biggest thing, again, I mentioned it last week on the draft, but when you play with Charlotte North, there's a lot of attention that goes to Charlotte North, rightfully so, right? She just broke the goals record for AU Pro Lacrosse this past weekend. So I think like making sure that the people around you are going to be studs as well. You have that in Madison Ahern.
Attacker Erica Evans.
So another attacker, Erica Evans goes, and I kind of want to go back. Well, I'll have you talk about Erica Evans, and then I have to ask you something once we get. We'll talk
Sure.
about 2 picks.
I'll be here.
Perfect.
Midfielder Haley Warden.
So go through the last 2 picks, and then I want to ask you a question about Charlotte. So I'll let you go first.
There she goes. Go ahead, Allie.
Defender Trinity McPherson.
Trinity, I just love the whispers. Like, I love the whispers from like when they unmute and you can hear the facilitator. I think that's my favorite part of tonight. So, all right, Kylie, analyze the last couple.
Hold on.
Pause.
Midfielder Lindsay McCone.
Ooh, and we got a smile from Taylor. So analyze the smile.
I know, I'm just trying to make them smile now. I'm just gonna start doing some things. But yeah, a lot of big picks there. Erica Evans, a big lefty for Team Marino. We need that on that team to add to Isabella Peterson as well. So 2 lefties over there. We'll see them play some 2-player game on that left side. I think that'll open up some things for their offense. I'm excited about that. Lindsay McCone for them as well. Has been playing great at the draw as well as obviously in the midfield, but she's been winning some big draw matchups. And I think that will switch some things up for game planning when some of these other teams' draw takers go in. She kind of can switch some things up and win some draws for her team. And then Trinity McPherson, she is one of those players that can be on the defensive end, run out of the box as a defensive midfielder as well, and just can kind of disrupt a little bit of some dodging room for some offensive players.
Wow, we got all of those in before another pick.
I got you in one breath.
That was short and to the point. I love it. We got all the information that we needed. I'm going to start asking you a question. We'll see if I get cut off. But I want to go back to what you were saying about Charlotte, just about how she draws so much attention on her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think it says about her ability to score, even despite all that attention, all that added effort to stop her, yet she's still breaking goal records?
Yeah, I think, that's what makes her Charlotte North, and that's what makes, when you think about the other sports and some of the legends in the other sports, like they're not, just playing against regular defensive game plans. Once they get to the top, they're seeing the best of the best from the other team, the best of the game plan from the other team. And Charlotte has been seeing that since her college days. So for her to continue to get past that, that's why she's next level.
Defender Courtney Taylor.
So she takes a defender. She also smiled on that one. I want to keep a smile, Polly. We're getting more smiles as we get
smiles. I got to remind Taylor, but seems like Allie's having fun. Charlotte's starting to have fun. Sam's a little stressed, but we might get a smile out of this one.
Goalie Kaylee Waters.
Yes, we got a smile. She takes Kaylee Waters on her team. So I think everybody has smiled at this point. So kudos to all of our captains smiling through the stress.
Midfielder Sierra Cockrell.
So Sierra Cockrell, she will be inactive for the final game day, but Sam does take her. And we'll chat more about that soon.
Goalie Paulina DeFada.
There's another goalie taken off the board. So Kylie, if you want to break down the last couple of picks.
Yes. So Madison Doucette and Kaylee Waters on the same team for Team Puzo. That is a goalie matchup. No matter what you get, not great for the other teams. Just fantastic in the cage. Whispers.
I know.
Defender Cookie Carr.
We got a smile.
I was like, we got whispers and then we got a smile. Oh my goodness, all in one pick. For Cookie Carr.
I agree. I'm repeating what you said, but I'm excited that they're having fun with this one.
Goalkeeper Emily Sterling.
So there's another goalkeeper headed to Team Kennedy. Emily Sterling will wear purple this week.
Attacker Kaylin Hart.
Go Seawolves.
I was waiting for it.
Goalie Kat Buchanan.
Oh my goodness, we got 2 smiles in a row.
I
I feel
know,
like
it's
this is
crazy. Kat
yes.
Buchanan playing with Team Marino for the 4th week in a row. I know they like being on the same side. I know Taylor loves having Kat on her side. She's a fantastic communicator on that sideline, and when she gets to step in and go in, she's going to make a save for that team.
Midfielder Lauren Gilbert.
Ooh, the speedster and Lauren Gilbert as we're getting close to the end of our final draft. Oh my goodness.
Defender Marge Donovan.
Marge Donovan. And there we go. We have our teams, Kylie, for the final week. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm excited. I'm glad the captains had some fun here tonight for the final draft of season 4. I think Team Apuzzo is stacked. I mean, all of the teams are stacked. They always are. There's no shortage of talent in this league, from rookies to vets and anywhere in between. So I'm just excited to see where we end up through the next couple of days, and especially on Championship Sunday.
I think everyone is excited. Thank you to everyone for joining us all 4 weeks of this draft. Now, week 4 starts Thursday, August 8th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Team Marino takes on Team North on ESPNU. Then at 7:30 p.m., we have Team Apuzzo and Team Kennedy. That will be on Bali Sports. So again, thank you to everyone for tuning in to all of our drafts this entire season, but there's still some more lacrosse to be played, and we want to make sure that you're watching all of it. We'll see you on Thursday.